Function with Purpose Podcast. All things health, wellness, fitness, and education through the physical therapy perspective. I am Dr. Amy Bullock, owner and founder of Fortress Physical Therapy. Fortress PT is here to serve the Charlotte metro area by highlighting the importance of how and why physical therapy should be a part of your health and wellness lifestyle. Here we go. Welcome to Season 12, Episode 2 of the Function with Purpose podcast. I am Dr. Amy, your host and founder of this podcast, and I also own a cash-based physical therapy clinic, Fortress Physical Therapy, located in the South Charlotte, North Carolina area. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I love and enjoy doing these podcasts just to put little nuggets out there, and if I can just input these little nuggets into one person and make a difference, I'm all about it. But these podcasts are free, yay. But my time is free. So, anywho, Season 12, Episode 2, Breaking the Habit in the Warm-Up. I stumbled across this thought and idea is a lot of us, typically, perhaps the more older population, and I'm saying maybe those of us in our mid-30s and beyond, it takes a little while for us to warm up our body, warm up our joints, warm up our tissue, warm up the muscles, get our heart rate going. And this particular podcast thought dawned on me with a patient that comes to mind, and literally her warm-up routine would take up to 1 hour. 1 hour before she even started to do her workout for the day. And then her workouts typically included a lift and some type of conditioning afterwards. So more so along that pathway of the CrossFit methodology. But I think this is just my point of view. I know for a fact that as the body ages, we do need to spend a little bit more time prepping ourselves before getting into a major lift for the day. So, for example, it might be the back squat. And we have to make sure that our body's tissue, the muscles, tendons, joints, ligaments, as well as the body's nervous system becomes primed before even getting into starting warm-up sets and getting into heavier sets of the day for that particular movement pattern, the back squat, with the barbell. So I think this is personal input. If your warm-up routine is 45 to 60 minutes long, I think we might be doing something incorrectly. It's too much. We work, the public, we should have a job, right, that is usually 8 hours a day. Sometimes people might work up to 12 hours or a 24-hour shift. But for most of the population, we have a 7 to 8 hour work day, maybe 9, if you include the lunch break into that. And carving out 2 to 2.5 hours of purposeful training and exercise is kind of difficult for the public. So when it comes to kind of prepping the body, I think if one has a 45 to 60 minute warm-up routine, we can do better. We can make it a little bit more purposeful. So, Dr. Amy, how do we break the habit in the warm-up? Well, this one particular patient, she informed me that she's been doing the same warm-up routine for 5+ years, possibly up to 10 years. And it was just her thing. If she didn't do it, she would move and feel like poop. So, she casted the fishing rod. She casted it and said, "Hey, Dr. Amy, I am open and willing to change my warm-up routine because it's just, I don't have the time. I'll give you the movements that I've been doing, and maybe you might see some needs to change it, and some things that I might need to discard, or maybe something that I need to add, etc. But I'm willing to eat some humble pie and break my habit in my warm-up routine." So my lights just lit up above my head, and I was like, yes, this is going to be awesome. Because I see a lot of generalists or within general fitness classes that you kind of, or the clients get kind of like fed to the wolves per se. So, the fitness instructor might demonstrate the movements that need to be done for the day, but a proper warm-up progression is not made. It's not even induced. Fitness instructors might be, okay, here's like the 6 movements you're going to do. This is what they look like. You have 3-4 rounds of this. Go for it. And as a client, you're kind of, what the, like, okay, I just walked in here after driving 20 minutes in my car, walked up a flight of stairs, and I'm standing here listening to the movements that we need to get done. So, I think as a fitness instructor, that's not the best way to go about it. I think we need to start flipping the script and breaking the habit in the warm-up and legitimately incorporating a warm-up. So, this patient that is eating some humble pie says that she is open to a new routine. I'm like, great, this is awesome. Okay, let's mark down what you've been doing and the things that you truly like with a star by it, that you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't not do this. So what we did is, first and foremost, we developed a time constraint warm-up section. So at most 20 minutes. So I'm literally almost cutting the dose in half, if not by at least 1/3 off of what this patient is typically used to. But I'm still giving her autonomy because this is what I wanted her to do and want to incorporate. As an older individual, we need blood flow. Period. We need it. So she gets to choose a piece of cardio, whether it's jogging, the Rogue Echo bike, the C2 rower, the C2 bike, the C2 ski, or the assault bike. Those are all options that are within the gym that she uses. It's the gym that I train at, and she is to perform every 3 to 4 minutes. She's going to get off that said choice of cardio equipment. So we'll just use the rower, for example. And she's going to perform 2 of her favorite movements. One of them might have been like a runner's lunge stretch for the hip flexor, and the other one might have been back and forth lateral leg swings. 10 each leg. Perfect. Okay, after those 2 said movements, she gets back on the rower. At the next 3 or 4 minute mark, she gets off the rower again and then performs 1 to 2 different movements. I gave her, in particular, some front foot elevated knee over toe split squats. And then She was going to lay on a bench because she used that split squat position with her foot on top of a flat bench. After 10 on each leg, she would lay on the edge of the flat bench and do kind of a mid-back opener, per se, just to kind of mobilize her mid-back. She would do that 5 times, and then she would get back on the rower. And then when that other 3 or 4 minute period came around, she would get off the rower and then do more of maybe a squat pattern, right? Because I know her squat is the next in kin. That's her strength portion. So if she was squatting that day, she was to do 10 Russian baby makers. If you don't know what those are, Google it. Into 10 broad jumps or 5 broad jumps. And then she would finish that either 12 or 16 minute EMOM on the rower. So I think for her to break the habit is to create a full body pump, i.e. she used the rower in this case, and then every couple minutes she got off of the rower and did 1 or 2 of her favorite movements that she's been doing the past 10 years. And then the other opposing get-offs from the rower would be a little bit more joint specific to prep for the squat. So leg swings, broad jumps into Russian baby makers. So I think trying to break the habit for this patient is very important to incorporate this, what we call this EMOM style. So every 3 or 4 minutes, this patient would do a piece of cardio equipment. At that, for example, 4-minute mark, she would get off of that piece of cardio, do 1 or 2 specific movements for said reps, and then she would get back onto that piece of cardio equipment until that next 4-minute mark came up. So it's in every 4 minutes on the 4 minutes times 16 minutes, right? So that's getting off the rower 4 times and doing up to 4 to 8 different movements, somewhere in that range. And then that transition between the warm-up, in this case, the 16-minute warm-up, up to her warm-up movement for the back squat, she would have free autonomy to do any other stretching or movement while prepping empty bar warm-up back squats. So we are we are confining her time within her warm-up to go from 45 to 60 minutes down to at least half of that. 20 to 25, 30 minutes. So that way, when she starts her actual strength, she's around that 30-minute mark and she's already into her first working strength set of her back squat. So, oh man, that was a lot, Dr. Amy. You're crazy. No, it's called being a little bit more purposeful because we are the public. We have to work. So if we only have a certain time frame to get exercise in, but we want to have it with purpose, and maybe incorporate some physiotherapy, therapeutic exercises into our routine, as well as blending that fitness, i.e. strength, and then some conditioning, we have to be on a time stamp. The time stamp or the time frame makes it more effective and more efficient. And it also helps you as the exerciser, as the client, as the patient, to start to understand the importance of creating this nice blend that you can feel a little bit more accomplished, right? So, breaking the habit in the warm-up can set yourself up for better success when it comes to your strength portion and your conditioning portion and even necessity. Some people term it accessory, but I term it necessity. cool down so you can tap and leave room for all these aspects into one training block or one training, session. And I think as I become more accustomed and more exposed to these type of warm-up routines, that when I'm on vacation, I straight up go into a little bit more of an extensive warm-up. So on purpose, still keeping that EMOM style. Maybe it's 30 minutes long on purpose. And having that humble piece of pie that, this is good for me. This creates the full body pump that I need. My heart is going, my heart rate is going up. My tissues are getting warmed up and more pliable. My joints are feeling greased or greasing the groove, right? I feel a little bit more awakened. My nervous system, my mind-muscle connection feels more quick, more sharp. And I still get to do my favorite movements that I've been doing for the 10 plus years in my warm-up routine because they make me feel good. But yet I still have the autonomy to sprinkle in some other new things or a piece of the old in with the new and seeing how that makes me feel. So that, I think, can help break the habit in the warm-up, to help bring on new, more refined habits that can better serve your purpose for training that day, your purpose for exercise that day. Each time you get off that EMOM cardio equipment, the movement should feel easier and easier. AKA you're greasing the grooves. It's like, you're adding a little bit of WD-40 to that hinge in the door so it doesn't squeak as much, right? It's becoming more smooth. Your mind's becoming a little bit more clear. So it was just super cool to have this patient bring this to my attention and her realizing, listen, Dr. Amy, I really need to do something different because what has been serving me for the past 10 years, I think has now hit a plateau. And maybe this plateau should have happened 5 years ago and I should have ate my humble pie then. But you know what? I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to really take the reins off this and see what Dr. Amy can help me with, right? Or see what your fitness instructor can help you with. Maybe they can confine things and make things more conducive, but with purpose, right? So for me, personally, I think if someone becomes stuck or stagnant in their training routine, first and foremost, maybe the warm-up isn't setting you up for success. Maybe we need to slightly change that. Maybe we need to, instead of making it 5 minutes, maybe you're on the short end of the stick and it's a 5-minute warm-up. It's kind of hard to do things for 5 minutes, with exceptions of maybe burpees to a target. That will get you warmed up. Versus a 60-minute warm-up. When we as a culture already don't make enough time for ourselves to fitness and exercise, yet alone carving out 2 to 2.5 hours to exercise and move in one bout. So, it's like, I like the analogy of, it's like pouring the oil in your car and then starting the car in oil in order for that oil to get flushed through the pipes, right? That's what I think of a piece of cardio equipment in the warm-up aspect. Your heart is holding the oil, and as you're on that piece of cardio equipment, the heart is pumping that oil to all of the pipes in your body. All right, it's going through your arteries, veins, capillaries. Your body knows where to push it. knows where to push more blood or more pump somewhere else versus another area. It's no different, right? I like that car analogy. It's easy for us to relate to. And the importance of, we do need to periodically change our oil, right? Or else our car will not work as efficient or effectively. So this patient in particular realized after 5-10 plus years that her oil was pretty stagnant. It was almost cement. So hopefully with her consistency in the breaking the habit in her warm-up routine, going from 60 minutes to hopefully 30 or less, she's realizing the importance of incorporating this bout of cardio within her said movements that she likes. So I'll kind of revisit with her at another moment in time with her physiotherapy sessions, but I'm hoping that gives you a little bit of perspective, like, you know, maybe your exercise regimen and training isn't where it needs to be. And sometimes we just need to look at the precursors or the prerequisites that we use or perhaps do or don't do that lead up to, you know, maybe that back squat for the day and in that metabolic conditioning portion. So like, how primed and how ready is your tissues, your joints, the ligaments, muscles, and then your mind-muscle connection, right? Like your nervous system. How turned on are you? And I think it's super important to try to start breaking that habit in the warm-up. The warm-up is what will prep you for the rest of your exercise training session. So maybe you need to take a look at that. What's something that you can make a little bit better in order to reap the benefits from that later? So take a view, take an aerial view. See where in the warm-up you might need to slightly break the habit. Stick with that habit for a month or up to 3 months. See what happens. See what that makes you feel. How does that set the tone for the rest of your exercise or training for that bout of 1 to 2 hour time frame? That's a wrap for today's episode, Function with Purpose podcast. For more information on this episode, please check out the show notes within your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, or drop your comments and questions below. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks for the listen. Pursuit, precision, purpose.